Alright, sup fellas, this is the build for the league, my starting build for the league that is. This is a Spark Surfcaster self-cast using Eldritch Battery, Mind Over Matter, using a Merlin's Fallacy for big ol' critical strike chance, and since we're Surfcaster, we have a Fishing Rod and 100% chance to crit thanks to all hits are critical strikes while holding a fishing rod. So that means that the less critical strike chance doesn't affect us, since this overrides any increases or reductions. It's always going to be a critical strike. That also means we don't have to go for any critical strike chance on the tree, any critical strike chance on our gear, anywhere. All the gear is up on the screen right now. There's been a few clips of the clear. Super fun build all around. I really had a great time with it. It took me to level 97. It was pretty tanky all throughout, all things considered, especially with how much juice there is this league. Yeah, I recommend playing it if you're just looking for a clear build. If you want to ever do if you want to farm T17s, like farm, this ain't it. If you want to do Uber bosses, endgame boss farming, this probably isn't it. You can do endgame, like regular endgame, I did Uber Elder, I did Shaper, Maven, Syrian Exarch, Eater of Worlds. I've done all those. It does fine. You'll die a few times, especially for like Eater and Syrian Exarch. Maybe that's just me being bad at the game. I haven't practiced those, or I haven't done those as much. But I mean, it does it. The damage is alright. But yeah, if you want to do Ubers, not this guy, bro. Find another build. But if you just want to do some T16 farming, damn, this thing is fun. And it's good too. I mean, all things considered, it's very tanky. It's alright. Full build. Let's look at the passive tree. So the most important thing about this is probably going to be the medium cluster jewels that we have here. All four of these, you're just looking for aerodynamics and streamlined. This gives us projectile pierce and projectile speed. Spark needs both of those. If you don't have those, you're not going to have fun. It's not a fun build otherwise. Other than that, the Ascendancy, we are doing 50% more cast speed while holding a fishing rod, and all hits are critical strike chances. We're doing Ghost of the Deep for the cast speed, movement speed, and increased damage. It's very strong overall, and the movement speed is a great help to the clear speed, because really that's the only thing holding us back. We're also using Stormy Seas for your cold damage can shock, and all of your damage is converted to cold damage. All of your lightning damage, but I mean that's all of our damage. That means we can scale cold damage as well as lightning damage, and that means we get the chill as well. And I've tested this in tier 17s. I'm getting, specifically I did Fortress tier 17, but I was getting 30% chill 100% of the time, and I was getting 42% shock. So that was pretty impressive, to me at least. Maybe you guys don't care. But I get that by doing the Critical Mastery for a 50% increased effect of non-damaging ailments with critical strikes. Again, it's all critical strikes, so it's just 50% increased. And I also get 20% increased here. If you don't have either of these, I think you're getting like 20-something% chill and 20-something% shock, which isn't bad, but I mean, it's 3 points and it's a bunch more shock. It's nice. If you wanted to go more damage and maybe you had enough movement speed or didn't want any more, like if I had a Mage Blood, I probably wouldn't really use this much because I'm gonna be fast as fuck anyway. I would instead switch over to Glacial Wave, which when enemies are chilled, they deal 15% less damage with their hits, and it also gives us 30% more damage essentially because they're going to be taking 30% increased damage. Also on the tree, we're using tattoos here. I'm using 5% increased lightning damage because I am broke, and the reduced critical strike what is it? It's like, I don't even know what they use for the wording, but basically it like reduces the damage that you take from critical strikes. You take 5% reduced extra damage from critical strikes. If you got to 100%, you wouldn't take any critical strikes. Basically, they would still be critical strikes, but it's just doing regular damage. You would need 20 of these, and I think each one is like a divine. I think it's literally like a divine each. 1.5 divines each. Bro, I'm not that rich, but it would be super strong. Instead, I'm just using the lightning damage because that does apply to the spark. It applies before it gets converted. And then I would be doing a lot more of these because intelligence doesn't really do much for us. Just increase energy shield and mana. The mana doesn't matter. The energy shield, I already have plenty. You only need like half or maybe like 60% of your life pool, and I already have that. So I would be doing it more, but the chest that I'm using has 293% intelligence requirement. If I could, and if I had really thought about it beforehand while I was making this, I probably would have tried to go for like a regular Vol Regalia. That way I could put a lot more tattoos on. But it is what it is. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. I think that's about it for the passive tree. For the large cluster jewels, you're just going to want damage, essentially. Just any type of damage you can get. I crafted both of these myself. This one, the reason I'm using 2 passives instead of, like a 3 passive one like this one, it's just because I didn't want to craft anymore. So you're going to be looking for something like Blanketed Snow is really good. That's basically just 10% pen. Ends up being a lot of damage in the end because penetration is kind of king. We're using Prismatic Heart. This increases our all res, although I don't need that, but for mine, but it might be helpful for yours, so that might be something to look into getting. So it's 30% increased elemental damage. It's good. Widespread Destruction, that's just what I got. The better option would probably be this one over here, Doriani's Lesson. For elemental damage leeches life. 0.2%, I don't think it's really doing like anything for me. It might be doing something like a few hundred per second. But if you had 2 of them, it would be somewhat decent. And it's fine. It's pretty good. It's the best option you can get. Maybe having like one of these and then like another one with the blind, that might be pretty good. But we don't even really have evasion anyway, so maybe not. I don't know. Anyways, this one's also good. Snowstorm, 8% of lightning damage is extra cold damage against chilled enemies. Since all of our damage is lightning originally, it'll take that damage and add it as extra cold. That one's a lot of damage too. And since we chill like everything's going to be chilled. I think that's about everything. I don't think I did the keystones. So I'm using Mind Over Matter, which is 40% damage taken as mana before life. I then also have Eldritch Battery from this helmet here, which means the energy shield protects our mana instead of our life. So that means that Mind Over Matter takes it from my energy shield instead. I'm then also using, in order to recover my energy shield while I'm casting, I am using Zealot's Oath to convert life regen to energy shield regen. And then I'm using things like Vitality. I have Summon Stone Golem, Summon Holy Relic. I have a few pieces of regen on like my gear here. It all ends up to being like, I think I have like 600 life regen, which is 600 energy shield regen. So that means I'm able to sustain it while casting, and I'm also mainly able to sustain it with even with Mind Over Matter. I'm also using Pain Attunement, which means I have to be on low life all the time, so I'm using Petrified Blood, and then I'm reserving my life with Herald of Ice Arrogance, which is perfectly 50%, so that means I'm perfectly on low life at all times, and I'm always getting that 30% more spell damage multiplier. And because Petrified Blood's normally like a bad move if you don't have many other sources of defenses, because I have Mind Over Matter, and I also have this Watcher's Eye, which gives another 10% of the mind over matter effect. So half of the damage is instead taken from my energy shield. So that means Petrified Blood is not really a bad option here. For the jewels I'm using, Watcher's Eye. It's also very important that you get a Watcher's Eye with gain life on hit while affected by Vitality. Somehow I was able to get these two mods together for like 2 or 3 divines, but really it's like a 10-15 divine jewel. If you can't get both of them, just get the Vitality one. If you instead want the Clarity one but not the Vitality one, you could also go Vampirism. This is also good if you just don't have the Watcher Jewel in general. This works perfectly fine for mapping. While you're mapping, this is the exact same feel and effect as the Watcher's Eye Jewel. The only part where it's not okay is for bosses. Map bosses, T16, are fine. Those get frozen and killed in like 2 seconds anyway. But for T17 or endgame bosses, you definitely need the Watcher's Eye Jewel. So just try to get the Vitality one. I think normally it's like 2 divines, 3 divines. A bit expensive at first, but I mean you can just farm maps until you have enough with Vampirism. Other jewels. You're looking for Critical Strike Multiplier, and you can either do increased damage in the form of projectile damage, lightning damage, cold damage, spell damage. I think that's about it for the increases. This one I got projectile damage, and then you want 2 crit multi-jewels. You can generally find those. They're honestly usually about like a divine or 2 each for good ones. But you only need like 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them, 4 of them. You need 4 of them, so it's like 4 divines total. You could also, instead of doing the projectile damage, you could do cast speed. I think you could get like cast speed with lightning skills, cast speed regular. That might be it. Sometimes those are a bit cheaper. And also, if you can't afford it, just go with like 1 critical strike multiplier modifier. I think at that point you only have 2 good mods. It's like 5 chaos or something per jewel. What was I going to say about this? Oh, keep in mind, even though we are converting our damage into cold, it doesn't change what the skill is. So our skill is a lightning skill. Spark is a lightning skill. So you need critical strike multiplier with lightning skills. Cold skills won't work because it's not a cold skill. It just deals cold damage. Okay, so for the gear, let's talk about the gear. We're looking for life resistances, life regen, finishing up stats to meet the requirements. Avoid elemental ailments and avoid being stunned. Those 2 are extremely big. And besides that, just I don't even think I get damage like anywhere on my gear, to be honest with you guys. Yeah, I don't get damage on my gear, actually. My chest, I crafted this myself. I bought the base for like 20 chaos. I think now it's probably a bit more like a divine for something like this, but it was like the first day, second day of the league. No one knew what to price it as. So all you're looking for is life regen. You're looking for life and you're looking for resistances. And you need to have a prefix open in order to roll the avoid elemental ailments and avoid being stunned. Because you need that in order to hit 100% of both. For the boots, same thing here. I bought the fracture base. I used essences. You're just looking for life resistances, and you need to use Essence of Loathing, I think it is, in order to hit the chance to avoid elemental ailments. It doesn't take that much to craft these. I think usually when I try to craft boots like these, it takes anywhere from like 20 to 40 deafening essences. So like it might take like a divine or 2 worth of essences. But it's not too bad. You don't need these right away. If you don't have chance to avoid elemental ailments, you can just use your flasks to cover it. But you know, you don't want to do that forever because flasks aren't always up. So yeah, we get 55% here. You need to get at least 32%. Yeah, you need to get 32% minimum. Unless you're rich, you can do 31%, and then instead for the implicit there, for chance to avoid elemental ailments, you would have to use a, what is it, exceptional ember? You have to roll enough exceptional embers to hit the chance to avoid ailments and have it be, you know, at that point you could go lower on the explicit modifier. But that's way more expensive, dude. Like it's just a lot easier to just use deafening essences and hope to hit 32. So yeah, we get 25% here, 55% here, which gives us the 80%, and then we have this cluster jewel here for the last 20%. So a perfectly 100% chance to avoid elements. It's pretty important to have that. We also get chance to avoid being stunned as an implicit here. We have chance to avoid being stunned here, and then we grab chance to avoid being stunned on this hypnotic eye jewel. So you do need a Stygian Vise. All you're getting for this, life regen, resistances. You can buy a belt like this for like 20 chaos. It's not impressive. And then for the jewel, you need chance to avoid being stunned. I grab life, because why not? And then I needed the attributes to cap out my attribute requirements. And then the gloves. This is our last source of chance to avoid being stunned. So for this, you are going to grab fractured chaos resistance gloves. And then you're going to use essences of, is it Dread? It might be Dread. Whichever essence gives you the chance to avoid being stunned modifier. You're going to just roll that. I don't think it really matters what you hit on this. It can be like 31 or 44. You can make it up like on the boots. You can make it up on the jewel. As long as it just has that deafening essence on there, you may even be able to do shrieking ones. But really just, do the math yourself on what you can get and try to decide which would be more economically viable for you to use. All we're looking for on this is just life and resistances or attributes, depending on what you already have capped. In this case, I already had my resistances capped, and I just needed some more strength. Managed to get it. Or I think, I don't know, some form of that interaction happened. I think maybe I just hit strength and was like, all right, let me finish up resistances on the rest of the gear then. The rings. We are using amethyst rings because chaos resistance is extremely important. Okay, sorry about that. So chaos resistance is very important because it bypasses energy shield. So that means that energy shield wouldn't be protecting my mana for chaos damage, which means that it with mind over matter, it's taking away from my 219 mana pool, which is terrible. Basically means that it's basically all going to my life, which is only being protected by petrified blood, and I only have 2.3k, so it's really, chaos damage will kill you unless you have capped chaos resistance. You don't need it right away. I think I got it when I was like level 90 or something already. I'd already been mapping. It just means that you get one shot here and there because a big chaos hit will hit you randomly, and that's that. You should also change this node over to 30% of chaos damage taken does not bypass energy shield. I didn't do it because I didn't really know it was here and I didn't make the connection. If I were to keep playing, I would switch that over. Also, dude, it was so stupid. I'm an idiot. Like, I've been playing with Eldritch Battery, Mind Over Matter, for like leagues now, and it didn't click for me until this one. And I was like, chaos damage bypasses it. I always thought I was like, what the fuck is always one-shotting me? And then I think Affliction League, I finally got chaos res with it, and I was like, hey, I'm not dying anymore. I guess chaos damage just does a lot of damage. But yeah, it does, because it's not being protected against. Anyways, So yeah, for the ring, you're just looking for life resistances. If you don't need as many resistances or attributes, depending on what you're missing, you're just looking for cast speed, probably. Damage recouped as life might be okay. Not really necessary, but you know, it's possible. And life regen. Any of those are fine mods. But the Chaos Res is the most important. This one I just bought, I think, probably for like 40 or 50 Chaos, I think, when I bought it. Probably got that for a bargain. I feel like that's a good ring. For this other one, I crafted it myself. I bought the Fractured Base for about like a Divine, I think, maybe 2 Divines. And then I used Dexterity Essences in order to cap out my Dexterity. And then I was just looking for life and resistances. Managed to hit the life and the lightning resistance. So I kept it as that. It could get better life. You could, there's ways to make this better, I think. But it was good enough for me. I liked it. Marylene's Fallacy, of course. You just buy it, like 20 Chaos. Use the critical catalyst on it, and you're good. The helmet, Devouring Diadem, for the Eldritch Battery, and also for the Socket of Gems have 25% increased reservation efficiency. We're running Clarity, which interacts with the Watcher's Eye, specifically just to trigger the Watcher's Eye effect. Wrath for the damage, Vitality for the life regen, and Petrified Blood for obviously low life. And the Fishing Rod, you're just looking for cast speed. It's the only mod that works. Reef Bane is actually the best fishing rod. But at the time that I threw this all together, like at the start of the league, Reef Bane didn't exist. And if it did, it was like 10 divines. I think I bought this one for like 1.5. I think that's what it is now too. I think it's still the same, but Reef Bane's like 2 divines. So you just get a Reef Bane instead. You do a little bit more damage. You could also corrupt it if you're ballsy enough, and you have a chance to get 10 to 20% additional cast speed. So maybe I'll do that when I'm fully done with this character. Let's see what else. Oh, for the implicits on this. Okay, so for the implicits on this, I went with Wrath and increased effective non-curse auras. You could, I don't know if it's Searing Exarch or Eater of Worlds. You could do some spell block setup. You'd only be able to get about 35%, but I mean, it's 35%. It's not bad. If you rerolled one of these to have, you get 7% block chance, and then for the cluster jewels, you would change these out to be the spell damage cluster jewels. You can get Conjured Wall and Mage Hunter, which gives you 14% spell block. And if you got 2 of those, that's 28%. Plus the 7 from the chest would be 35%. That would be pretty decent. I thought about doing it. I probably would still do it if I was gonna keep playing this character, but I'm done with the character at this point. I'm probably not gonna be playing it too much more, unless maybe I run out of currency. I don't know. But I would probably do that. So you probably should too, if you get that far. The implicits on the boots, obviously avoid elemental ailments, avoid being stunned. You need both of those. For the gloves, you want Unnerve on hit, which gives you, I think, 10% more damage. They take 10% increased spell damage, which is 10% more. I don't know how that stacks with Shock, by the way, or how that would stack with the Chill one. I don't know if those stack additively, or because they're separate like wordings, they stack separately. But either way, it's still very good. I'm also doing Cold Exposure on hit. I didn't really know what else to put here. If you were trying to build into a Suppress chance, which you might be able to do on this build, you would instead have that be the chance to suppress spell damage mod instead. And then in that case, you would want to hook up Frostbite to Hydrosphere and Hex Touch. That way you don't have to cast both Hydrosphere and Frostbite. And you use Hydrosphere because it gives you cold exposure on the enemy. And then hooking up to Hex Touch, you know, you'd be able to just hit Hydrosphere and be done. But I'm not going to Suppress because it's expensive too. And so I just grabbed Cold Exposure, and I'm not going to use Hydrosphere because why bother? What else am I using? Herald of Ice hooked up to Arrogance. This is self-explanatory. I need to reserve my life, and this is perfectly 50%, and Herald of Ice is fun. I'm using Flame Dash for my travel skill, and I'm hooking that up to Second Wind with 20% quality so that there's no downside to it. I think I already went over these, Petrified Blood, all that. For the links for Spark, we're using Awakened Added Lightning Damage Support. Level 5 was a bit too expensive for me, so I've been leveling up from level 1, but I never quite got to 5. You want level 5 more than anything because it gives you +1 to lightning, or +1 to socketed lightning, +1 lightning skill gems, basically, which is pretty large. I think it's probably like 10% damage increase, maybe 10% more damage. That is somewhere around there. We're using Awakened Cold Destruction, or yeah, Awakened Controlled Destruction, because we don't have to worry about the Let's Critical Strike chance. It's a fat ass more multiplier. Increased critical damage because all of our hits are critical strikes. Awakened Spell Echo, because cast speed. We like cast speed. This gives a ton of cast speed. Awakened Cold Penetration as the last one, because we need cold pen. Lots of things are cold resistant, and it sucks when they are. Oh, my flasks. These are not set up well at all, guys. Using a Divine Flask with the instant recovery one on low life, because we're always on low life. It's better than like Seething or Bubbling. With Corrupted Blood and Bleeding Immunity. I'm using a Silver Flask. Use when charges reach full, and I have 18% chance to gain a flask charge when you deal a critical strike, which is every hit, and I hit a lot, so I feel like it's really good. That has reduced effective curses on it. This while you're mapping, your flasks are always up. Bosses not so much, but a decent amount. This one is worthless. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I didn't finish choosing my flasks the entire time I leveled this guy. I put this on at like level 70 something probably, just cause I didn't have any other flasks, and I haven't changed it. Instead, I just re-rolled it to have flask charge on crit, and I put the Instilling Orb on it. I was gonna put Immune to Poison on it, and then I got too lazy to go to Einhar. So I never did. Ideally, you'd probably switch this out to like a Jade Flask or something. Just to have a bit more evasion rating. And then probably avoid poison, or immune to poison. So that way you just don't have some degen on you the whole time. And then this one, I mean, this one's fine. It's armor and flask. Gain a flask on crit strike. This one's fine. This one, again, Quicksilver Rage, not movement speed. You can either go for like increased effect for even more movement speed, but then you lose duration, or you can just keep rolling it until you get movement speed and like flask charge when you deal a critical strike. I didn't want to keep rolling this, so I just gave up. Okay, so I wanted to talk a bit about the idle system too before this video is over. And how I went about crafting my stuff. I'm doing like a full Harbinger setup. A lot of them are pretty expensive. I think like each of these is probably like a few divines. This is like 10 divines or something. But I didn't spend that much on really any of them, except for like maybe like 2 things that I was sick of crafting. But use recombinators if you need to craft this stuff. You can just buy, like for this one, you could just buy Conquer Idol with currency shards, drop as currency items instead. Just have that, and then on the other one have just contains 2 additional harbingers, and then recombinate them together, there's like it's like probably like 1 in 5 chance that it ends up being correct, and you know, in the end, it's gonna save you like so much money on these. You could even just do that as like a currency making strategy. Just like buy them all from people, recombinate them together, and resell them if you really wanted to. I doubt anyone would though, because it's so fucking annoying to trade for these things. But that is how you should craft these. It's cheap, it's easy, and you can get some really cool stuff with it. Also, talking about these fucking idols, I love them and I hate them, man. I love how much juice it gives you. Like, I can really juice up these fucking harbingers. Like, and if there's a mechanic that you just want to dive into like hard, bro, you get more juice than like anything has before for a specific league. And like you can even do it for like multiple at the same time. Like I'm doing harbinger, but I'm also doing alva with this killing non-resident thing. I'm printing out locusts, dude. Locusts of corruption. They're each like, I don't know what they are now, probably like 100 chaos or something by now. Like, bro, every 4 maps I got another one. It's a really nice side hustle. Same with Doriani's chambers too for the corrupting jewels. Like, man, the juice on these things is great, but god damn, do they suck to trade for it. Oh my god, setting this up is like torture, bro. It takes so fucking long. You message like 20 people, and finally one person responds. You got 1 idol. Cool. Message another 20 people, another idol, and then the recombinating them and having to trade more and more and more. I probably did like fucking like 100 trades just to set this up. It was so goddamn tedious. But man, it's pretty cool. Like once it's fully set up, man, it's good. I have mine fully set up now with what I want. Never touching them again. Like I think this one I wanted to make a little bit better. I'm done. I'm not touching it. No more recombinating for me. Fuck it. It's so annoying. But once you have it fully set up, the league is very fun. So honestly, like if you guys haven't played this league yet, or if like you quit because you didn't like the thing, the idols, but you're kind of curious on coming back, I'd say give it another shot. Just really try to fill it out as fast as you can, get it over with, and then never worry about it again. Like shit, I don't even pick up idols anymore because I'm so sick of them. I don't want to read the mods. I don't want to try to think, is this one valuable? I don't want to just put them in a dump tab and sell them for like 5C each, because that's just so many. It's a lot of trades, honestly. A lot of them sell. So I just don't worry about them anymore. I completed mine. I'm done. I'm not picking them up anymore. I'm just gonna run Harbingers, Alva, and have fun. And it's very fun. Yep, I think that's the build. That's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, I got another build cooking up right now. Soul Rend of Reaping. And boy, I think it's gonna be shit. I think it's gonna be real fucking shit. The leveling experience is not fun. I'm level 60 now, I think. It's fucking almost done, but god damn, it sucks. The clear looks like it's gonna be shit. The damage looks like it's gonna be shit. But I'm gonna finish it, and I'm gonna let you guys know how that is. I'll probably upload another video for it. Yep, there's my stall. See you fellas later.